Peckle Park, a new beginning, let's go. Started back rocking the brown. Ever since we been knocking them down. Baby said she wanna go to the game. Taught her how to say Padre gang. Started back rocking the brown. Ever since we been knocking them down. Mitchell and Ness with the old school name. All of the homies holler Padre gang. Yeah, that.
Good day, everybody. Welcome to the Talking Friars pregame show for August 31st. We've reached the last day of August, heading into September. Padres and the Giants, their series finale today, 12:45. Feeling good. Padres going for the sweep. I know they couldn't get the sweep against the Royals this past weekend, but I feel good with Joe Musgrove on the mound. And I was reading Kevin Acey's newsletter this morning about Luis Camposano, and it does feel like Campy is putting in the work. And he met with Joe Musgrove multiple times these last few days. He's been talking with him a lot. He's been, or during Clevenger's start the other night on Monday, they were going through the Giants lineup, looking at tendencies and all of that. Austin Nola's going to be in Campy and Musgrove's pitchers meeting today, pitching and catching meeting, just to go over the game plan again before the game today. So it looks like Campy's putting in the work, and hopefully today he's in the lineup. Hopefully he can come through with a better defensive performance than he did on Sunday. That's what I'm kicking this show off with, just to look for that. Because on Sunday, obviously throwing it away at third base, getting picked off at second. I know that wasn't defensively, but hopefully he's just, I don't know. He was probably locked in Sunday, but a lot was on his plate. Dealing with the pitch comm for the first time, a lot of new stuff, and so hopefully he's more comfortable today. Hopefully he prepared better. It looks like he's prepared better for today catching Musgrove than he probably did catching Shamanaya. Or maybe it was just because he has more time to do that, because he was called up Friday, probably didn't know he was going to catch Sunday, and he was just called up. So more preparation time, maybe more focused in terms of like the other team, like really studying the other team's uh, batters and their tendencies. I would think that the Padres are set up to have a better performance out of him today. He is batting eighth today. He was batting ninth, I believe, on Sunday when the Padres played the Royals. Couldn't finish off that sweep. He's batting eighth, catching. Azokar is in center. So no Grisham, even though he had that big home run last night. They are still going with the matchups. Grisham is a lefty. Alex Wood, the Giants starter today, he's a lefty. So they're going to go with Azokar, the righty, to go play center. They've got Will Myers in left and Soto, obviously, in right. Musgrove for the Padres on the mound today. His last time out, it was his shortest start of the season. 3 2/3 innings, didn't even get through 4. I put together a little bit of a breakdown, quick breakdown on why he was struggling there, at least the pitches that resulted in Kansas City runs being scored. And what I noticed, it was a lot of mislocation, which is what it is with most guys when they're struggling. I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm, Ruben Niebla or any of the Padres video coordinators and act like, oh, I know exactly what was going on with his mechanics or something like that, right? But I was just looking at the basic stuff. He was missing his spots, like Manaea was missing his spots on Sunday. Musgrove's breaking balls, middle of the plate, weren't biting too much or weren't breaking too much in his last start. And so hopefully he's fixed that. I know there's been a couple times this year, right, where he struggled, but he's found or he realized in between starts or maybe right after the start why he was struggling, and he was able to bounce back and find it again. So hopefully that's what happens today, and we can get a solid 6, maybe even 7 innings out of Joe Musgrove heading into the off day. I know usually heading into the off day, most bullpens, they go all out, right? The manager's okay with having the starter go 5 innings, 6 innings, and just giving it to the bullpen because they do have that day off tomorrow on Thursday before the 3 games against the Dodgers. But with Joe Musgrove on the mound, he is supposed to be your ace. I'd probably say Yu Darvish is that guy right now. Snell, definitely, he's one of them right now. He pitched tremendously well yesterday. I'll talk about that more on the series reaction episode after today's game. But with Joe Musgrove, I mean, he got the big extension this year before the trade deadline. Like, he's the guy. And so the Padres probably hope they can get 6 innings at least, maybe six, get into the seventh, 6 2/3, whatever it might be, out of him today. And then in terms of the bullpen, you could probably go, man, would Hader pitch? No, I'm not saying he'd pitch in like a 1-run or a 2-run game, but what if the Padres have like a 4-run lead? They have Chris Matt, Morahone, Wilson, Suarez. They didn't pitch yesterday. Hader hasn't pitched. I mean, Bob Melvin, I keep going back to Bob Melvin saying the other day, I think it was Monday's game, prior to Monday's game, about how it would probably help if Josh got more frequent work. But, the Padres are trying to make the postseason right now. When is he going to get that frequent work if the Padres can't trust him to pitch in close games, right? High leverage situations. You can't trust Josh right now. You just can't. So when is he going to get that work? So I guess I'd look to see if Josh Hader pitches today. I'll be interested in that. I'm going to be most interested to see how Campy is behind the plate today in his second start since being called up. I believe it's his 10th start at catcher this year. Or 10th, it might be his 10th start catcher in the big leagues. I was reading something about that from Kevin Acee. But getting back to the bullpen, I think Chris Matt definitely should pitch today. He's had 2 days off. Wilson was throwing yesterday before Nick Martinez came in. Martinez obviously gave up that home run to Jock. He's definitely not going to pitch today. He's thrown, 40 pitches or 27 plus 20, 47. He's thrown like 44 pitches in the last 2 days. So, like, in the game. So he's not going to go today. Garcia, they probably wouldn't want to throw him today, but they could. They probably would want to go back to Robert Suarez, though, in a situation like that. Morahone, Suarez, or maybe one of those two closes it. So that's what I would look at. Hill, 13 pitches yesterday. He could pitch today after the off day, the off day tomorrow. He got squeezed multiple times last night. That home plate umpire was not great. So he should have thrown less than 13 pitches. He should have struck out Lamonte Wade Jr. He shouldn't even gotten to first base. But, hey, what are you going to do? He ended up getting, I think, a ground out or something, got Wade out like on the next batter. So didn't end up being that big of a deal, but still, it was more pitches than he should have thrown. Getting to the chat here, we'll get to the lineups and stuff like that here in a moment. Christopher, I appreciate you joining again. Definitely rooting for Campy. Need more in-house prospect success. You're right on that. If the Padres want some sustained success, I know they do have guys under contract. Musgrove, Cronenworth, Soto for the next 2 years after this year. Manny, obviously, Tatis for a long time. But you still need guys, especially like the catching position. The Padres probably want more production out of that position than they've gotten. And Campusano wouldn't be making a whole lot of money. So if he can perform, if he can improve defensively at catcher, I think that bodes well for the Padres. That allows them to spend money in other areas, outfield maybe, first base maybe, because Drury and Bell are free agents at the end of the year. Who knows what happens there? That's obviously long ways. We got a long ways to go for that. But, yeah, definitely rooting for Campusano. I just didn't like how he played Sunday, but today's a new day. Hopefully he's more prepared, like I talked about earlier. Definitely rooting for him, no doubt. We need a bounce back for Joe, especially for his confidence. Give up 1 or 2 at most today. I'll take that, and hopefully offense shows up again. Yeah, Alex Wood, he's had some success against the Padres this year. Let me go back. Padres had success off him the first couple times they faced him. May 22nd, Padres scored 5 runs off of him. He only went 3 innings there. That was at Petco. And then, that was at Oracle. At Petco, July 10th, he shut out the Padres. 7 innings, no runs. Only walked 1 guy, struck out 8. So that wasn't great. But that was before they got Juan Soto. He did face the Padres on August 8th. So that was after the Padres got Soto. And he pitched really good again. 6 and a third, no runs, didn't walk anyone, struck out 5. So hopefully he doesn't do that again. Hopefully the Padres looked at the film there, looked at some of Wood's tendencies. Um, I don't remember if they weren't aggressive on August 8th against Wood. I would assume that they weren't as aggressive as they are going to try to be today. That's just my guess. I don't remember too much from like that game doesn't stick out to me. Um, but yeah, I think the Padres are going to have more success off of Wood today than they did when they faced him last time on that August 8th game. Just from being more aggressive and looking at the film and what they did wrong. Michael here in the chat says, I would love a sweep today. I think Joe bounces back. Just don't give Peterson anything to hit. Yeah, Peterson hit an absolute bomb last night. That ball was crushed. I'm trying to see if the Giants have their lineup out. Still don't have their lineup out. We got 2.5 hours until first pitch. Kapler has not had his lineup out in either of the pregame shows I did before these first 2 games of this series. So not a surprise. If he's in there, then he's in there. I think he'd be in there. Musgrove's a righty. Peterson's a lefty. Look, I think Joe's going to be better than he was last time. Yeah, just definitely, obviously don't hang anything to Jock. It's not like he's trying to hang pitches. No one's trying to hang pitches. Hopefully Campy doesn't set up down the middle like I saw him setting up a lot of times on Sunday. It is a different pitcher. Hopefully Musgrove doesn't struggle out of the gate like Manaea did. And Campy's not going to feel like, oh, man, just throw strikes here. Hopefully we can get out of this. No, hopefully it's no. Throw this strike up and in. Throw this slider low and away. It's not, I'm going to set up down the middle here. Because there were some times where he set up down the middle. That's where the pitcher threw it on Sunday. Like, okay, I hit my spot. You're going to be mad at me for that? Set up somewhere else then. But there were also other times where Campy set up, up and in or something. Manaea threw a meatball down the middle. So we're hoping that doesn't happen with any of the Padres pitchers today. So Musgrove against Wood, 12:45 is the first pitch. I keep saying 6:45 because that's what it was the last 2 nights. Padres looking for their 73rd win on the season. The Giants are 6 games under 500, looking for win number 62. I think the Padres, with this series win, they've already knocked the Giants out. I didn't think they were going to make the postseason anyway before this series, but with this series win, the Padres have definitely knocked the Giants out of the wild card race. Could they hop back in it? Maybe. They'd have to go on a St. Louis Cardinals run like last year where the Cardinals won like 20 games in a row. That's not going to happen with this Giants team, I don't think. Their defense is too bad. They don't have Paul Goldschmidt in their lineup and Nolan Arenado, right? And they're not facing Emilio Pagan throwing meatballs down the middle of the plate, I don't see the Giants being anywhere close to this race for the rest of the season. Wood, by the way, has a 5 ERA. Musgrove is 2.96. So despite his struggles last time out, 2.96 ERA. Definitely taking that. As for the Padres lineup today, Ha-Seong Kim is batting leadoff at short. Love that. Soto's in right. Manny's at third. Josh Bell, he's found it as of late. He's at first base batting cleanup. Brandon Drury is DHing. And because he's DHing, he's nowhere else in the infield. And Campusano's catching, obviously. Myers is in left. No Profar, that's what that means. Crony's at second base batting 7th. He was batting 5th last night. Campusano's catching. Azokar's in center. No Grisham. No Nola. No Profar. So those are the big 3 guys. Well, they're not all big. Not all 3 of them are big guys, but you get what I'm saying. Those are the 3 like starters that aren't starting today. And part of it's the matchups, right? Like I said earlier, Wood's a lefty, so you're not going to have Grisham go out there. It is a day game. Give him double day off. 2 days off today, tomorrow with the off day. I know some teams like to do that. My Padre pick today, I'm going to go with Josh Bell. Batting 4th, so he's near the top of the lineup. He is batting 100 off of Wood in his career. I didn't look at that before I made that pick. I was making that pick based off of how he's been hitting as of late. That's really what I care about right now. So I'm gonna go with Josh. I'm 82-44 this season in my Padre pick, my pregame show Padre pick. Yesterday I went with Ha-Seong Kim. He got a hit for me, went 1 for 4. For anyone new, the Padre pick is the one guy I think will get a hit today if I had to pick one guy. Obviously, I'd probably pick Manny and Soto every day, and my record would be pretty good, but I don't want to do that every day because that gets boring. I don't have any money on it, but it's just a fun thing to do. If you want to support the channel, by the way, you can use the super chat button in the comments. On regular videos, you can use the super thanks button. I appreciate the support, you guys being live here. Is there anything else to talk about today? I already went through the bullpens, the lineups, the starting pitching matchups. 12:45 again is the first pitch. I'll have a series reaction after the game, that episode live here on YouTube. And it'll be out on the podcast platforms. And of course, you can watch it on replay if you can't catch it, probably at 4:30 ish, probably when the game's over. And I'll have the clips as always. Games I'm not at Talking Friars on Twitter. I'm also on Instagram and TikTok, but Twitter's where that's where most of my stuff goes out. As for the standings right now, Padres, they technically have a 3.5 game lead on Milwaukee for that final playoff spot. It's 2.5 in the standings, but the Padres have that head to head. So it's technically 3.5. Milwaukee lost to Pittsburgh last night. Pittsburgh had a tremendous double play to end that game. Milwaukee plays Pittsburgh here in about an hour. 11:10 a.m. our time is their first pitch in Milwaukee, their series finale. And the Phillies got smashed by the Diamondbacks last night. I don't know. Let me check where this could all change by, the end of today. So don't need to put too much stock into this. But in the National League here, Dodgers, Mets, first two, they get the byes. They will get the byes, it would look like. St. Louis would then play us. If season ended today, Atlanta would play Philadelphia in Atlanta. Milwaukee, 2.5 back of us, 3.5 technically, as I just said. Philadelphia is only a half game up on us for that second wild card. So if Philadelphia is really struggling as of late. They've lost 3 in a row, 6-4 in their last 10. Same record as the Padres in their last 10. But the Padres have won 2 in a row. If the Padres can get ahead of Philly, then they'd go play at Atlanta probably at the end of the season to try to get past that wild card series and get into the National League Division Series where they would either play the Mets or the Dodgers. I think based on seeding, the Dodgers, if they're the 1 seed, they play the 4. So I think the Padres would have to play the Dodgers in the division series if they get the 5. If they get the 6, then I think they play the Mets because in terms of the bracket, Major League Baseball is expecting the Mets to beat whoever would advance from the wild card series. Who would that be? It would be St. Louis, right? Major League Baseball is expecting St. Louis to beat the Padres if the season ended today. So I believe the Padres would play the Mets if they got the 6 seed. If they got the 5, then they'd play the Dodgers, I believe, in the division series. I could be wrong on that, but I believe that's what it would be. I don't have the bracket right in front of me. We're still a long ways away from that, more than a month to go, but still, that's, a month can go by really fast. We know it does. And so we're scoreboard watching, definitely scoreboard watching. Lakeum here, Pierce Johnson rehab looking good. Was it his first rehab appearance yesterday? I did see that. He pitched an inning, I believe, for El Paso. They also have Brandon Kinsler down there. Jose Castillo pitched an inning. That's what I saw yesterday from El Paso, at least in the box score. And who knows when he'll come back? I don't have the answer to that. The rosters do expand starting September 1st, so tomorrow. I know the Padres have the off day, but before Friday's game, they'll have 2 more players on the roster from 26 guys to 28. You can add 1 pitcher and 1 position player, or you can add 2 position players. Major League Baseball just doesn't allow you to add 2 pitchers. So they can't go add Castillo and Pierce Johnson, for example. They'd have to, or Kinnear and Pierce Johnson, or whatever. They'd have to add like Matthew Batten or Cam Gallagher if they don't want Campy catching. They can add Gallagher and Johnson, or Gallagher and Kinnear, or whoever they decide to do. It has to be at least one position player and only one pitcher. So that's what we're looking forward to. Maybe it's I don't think it would be announced tomorrow. It would be announced before the Friday game against the Dodgers. But I'll be back after this game is over. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed this pregame show. Again, I'm your host, Ben Fadden, at Talking Friars, on Twitter for the in-game clips, as always. And then tune back in here live on YouTube after the game for the series reaction. Good night of sports, by the way. Serena, U.S. Open, that's at 4. DeGrom against the Dodgers, I think that's at 4 as well. WNBA playoffs later tonight, too. Good night of sports. Hopefully that's after the Padres can sweep the Giants. All right, that's it. See you guys later. Go Padres. Enjoy the game today.